I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Did everyone get a chance to review the minutes? Yes. If so, I'll need a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any more discussion?
Who seconded it down there?
Lori.
Or-
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
First, we have the presentation by IPBS.
Hi Brent, can you hear us?
Yeah. I see Mark Evans online too.
Great. We have the board members here. We'll start off with any questions. So members of the board, in the meeting here is Brent Molnar from WTIU and Mark Newman, the Executive Director of the Indiana PBS. So the MOU their broadcasting tower is actually, correct me if I'm wrong here, but they end sort of just a little past Brown County or the Bloomington area, and the radius goes down.
Down into like Orange, Washington, Jackson, and Jennings counties. We just can't get that stretch of like Switzerland, Jefferson, Scott, Clark, Floyd, Harrison, right along the Ohio River.
Forgive me if you guys are able to hear him at all. Okay, let me do a little more audio here. Could you try repeating that a little bit? See if that's
Sure. So, well, I apologize for my rudimentary graphics. It's been a long day. Actually, we cover 50 counties in Indiana, but you can see this stretch along here, along the Ohio River Valley, is the only part that Indiana PBS station can't reach. And those counties of like Floyd, Clark, Scott, Jefferson, Switzerland, Ohio, Dearborn are served by PBS stations out of either Dayton, Cincinnati, or Louisville. So yes, that's why we're excited about the partnership is, we can actually work with cable operators like Madison TV 15 to get Indiana content to Hoosiers along the Ohio River Valley.
And every bit of it is in a cost-effective measure. So especially with WTIU content and them being as close as they are to us, and of course within a listserv and everything that they have, which most of that content is actually pulled from an FTP, and in that database it includes content from all over Indiana. And also some of this actually, I could actually use a reference. Just alone today, there was for one program called Indiana Newsdesk, which they've actually opened that up to even non-members of PBS stations to access that content. They're running it from March the 12th to March the 18th. That is a retrospective of the COVID pandemic here in Indiana. And so, back that up here.
The IPBS stations, there are 8 IPBS television stations across the state. We produce both series like Inside Indiana Business, Indiana Week Review, Indiana Newsdesk, Journey Indiana, Friday Zone, and then a host of one-offs or documentaries that we also offer that talk about the history, culture, and legacy of Hoosiers throughout time and space. it's actually technically possible to get our programs, and all of that's worked well so far. Now I believe we just have to sign the agreement so that you can actually start carrying it.
And to also just give you a sense for where each of these IPS number stations are located, we have WYIN TV, that's our Lake Shore public media station in Lake County. WNIT is our television station located in South Bend. WFWA is in Fort Wayne. WIPB is in Muncie. WFYI is in Indianapolis. Represents WTIU in Bloomington, of course. WVUT is out of Vincennes and is affiliated with Vincennes University, and then WNIN is our Evansville station. So pretty good coverage across the state of Indiana, representing a lot of regional issues, regional topics of interest, but all of it Indiana focused, and really quite a bit of good, informative and entertaining content for the folks in Jefferson County to enjoy.
And it also opens up the possibility of expansion for that regional content to feature Jefferson County, Hanover, and Madison in a whole. And as well as it opens up for southeastern Indiana as well too. Because we're largely underserved when it comes to this type of content, and that's always been a topic of discussion for many years with even previous board members, previous boards, and even within the community and the program offers. And this right here is actually, to be honest, and this is my personal opinion on it, it's a worthwhile venture.
Does your board have a good sense for how the program offers work? You mentioned it, Brett described a little bit of the FTP process, but have you talked to them at all about how program offers would come down to you and see and assess content?
Yes, so we're actually part of a Google system, and actually a listserv that's in there, and so those program offers come through, and then we're able to, they actually send those in either a PDF format, a document format. I'm able to review it, plus there's daily updates if there's a time change within the program content when it goes on, and that allows us to kind of adhere within a program schedule to apply those programs into a full schedule, and kind of irons things out. That way we can get a head start on updating. Like take for instance Indiana Newsdesk, that would actually showcase on possibly a Thursday afternoon, Friday morning, and then it would rotate over into Monday morning, and then we would wait on the next episode to come through. And so they do. I think you guys film those about a week or so ahead of time. I think your production is finished on a Wednesday morning, if I remember correctly.
No, the news tests are really timely. They're taped on
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah, the Friday.
Yeah, so their content is pretty timely. You're generally good to use that on like a Friday through Monday, and then we start the next week.
Is your microphone
But there are other
Yes.
shows that are much more timeless. So like Journey Indiana's, those can be shifted all over the place because they normally don't have time for critical information. Same goes for the Friday Zone, and obviously any of the like half hour, and a half long documentaries.
Can I ask a question?
Yes. We actually have a question from one of our board members.
Sorry, I think it's what you were talking about. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, perfect. So I just want to make sure I understand. So you create the content, but then we would decide what's shown and at what time, and you would put that together, or how does
Yes.
that work?
What it would do, they would already have most of the permitting together, and in the MOU, forgive me if you don't have a copy of that, and I'll actually.
You're okay.
You just pointed the board here, so.
I think in its simplest forms, what we're hoping to do is to share the content across the state to reach an underserved audience. And that's why we're excited to partner with Madison TV and other cable operators in the southeastern part of the state, because there are some Hoosiers who don't have access to the latest information from the State House or what's going on with the economy and business, from some of those programs. And so it's just one more way we can serve Hoosiers, but it's also an opportunity to let Madison TV supplement the work that they're already doing with broader content.
Perfect.
So-
And then,
And it's up to Aaron to decide where the best fit for that is. I think the only thing in the MOU, scheduling wise, we requested, there were some stations that want to make sure that the Indiana content appear as clusters in his
So that's one of the criteria that we had asked for. The other was to ensure that we were able to get schedules ahead of time, just to see what the broadcast schedule that you're going to follow looks like, what content is going to be there. So the consumers of the content in Jefferson County are aware that this is IPVS content coming at them. We were asking for an introductory graphic and then an exiting graphic, just to say this is IPVS Indiana Station content coming at you. So things like that, and that's outlined in the MOU as well.
And it also features within the, when the schedules, they're actually published on the website a little bit better. So we get a constant update of the schedule on the website. And it also adds on, like the hyperlinking, because that's actually included in the MOU, that IPBS would actually, it would link to those stations, like WTIU, the logo would actually be on our website. People can go click on that logo and it goes straight to IPBS content from WTIU.
Okay, and then my only other question is, this poll, Aaron, is this what
Yes.
you did to
Yes,
see
that's a
Madison?
poll that I put out online, and that was a pool of 35 residents here
Okay.
in Jefferson County, and 89%, as you see, 89% said yes to the content.
Okay, and that was just to ask them if they would be interested in
Yeah,
something
it was
like
just
this.
a
Okay,
straw poll with that.
perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Is there any questions from the audience? Okay. All right. If there's any more questions, thank you, Mark, and thank you, Brent.
Sure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Aaron over any of that? Huh?
There is no cost.
Okay.
It's free of charge.
All right, then we'll move on to old business. Madison TV 15 budget. So, I'm gonna read a statement that I personally wrote. We all know that budget is not something that, especially now, you know, today's time, everybody's having trouble with their budget and everything. Denise, or Stephanie, you wanna come up and join us? I'm good. Are you good? Okay.
I'm in the room.
Okay, you're in the room. I just, I didn't want to leave you out.
Oh, no, thank you.
The Cable Advisory Board met in an executive session to discuss the station manager Aaron Wood's contract on February the 25th. The contract was signed on 9/22/20 by the Public Video Service Board with an annual salary of $30,000. Due to the lack of a fully executed interlocal agreement, the Public Video Service Board was never officially created. Thus, the ongoing entity has reverted back to the Cable Advisory Board per Ordinance 2001-7, which was signed by all three governing bodies on September the 5th, 2001. Recent efforts by all parties to create a new interlocal agreement were not successful, resulting in the City of Madison choosing to, among other things, reduce its annual financial commitment to $12,000, which is commensurate with Jefferson County and the town of Hanover, and require Madison TV 15 to relocate from its premises to its own space by mid-April 2021. As the newly elected president of the Cable Advisory Board, I worked with the board to review the current financial condition of Madison TV 15. To sustain the Cable 15 channel, we would need over $60,000 to support current operations. The breakdown of annual expenses is as follows. Station manager's salary is $30,000. Two camera operators' salary is $10,000. Selective commercial insurance policy, $706 a year, CNA equipment insurance policy, $738 a year. Panda Endpoint Security, $160 a year. Spectrum TV Services set-top box, $318 a year. And website hosting domain name, $200 a year. This is a total of $42,122. So as I read up there, we have to relocate. Now if we add rent to that, 1,000 square feet at Venture Out at $750 a month, that is $9,000 a year. That brings our total up to $51,122. Also, nowhere in the budget is there any money set aside for equipment upgrades, and I know that most of our equipment is over 15 years old. That has resulted in some reliability issues. Our budget consists of the franchise fees paid each year to the Cable Advisory Board. $12,000 comes from the City of Madison. $12,000 comes from Jefferson County. $11,500 comes from the town of Hanover. This is a total of $35,500. The projected annual deficit is $15,622, which does not account for any equipment upgrades or any emergencies that might arise. While it is unpleasant to discuss elimination of the station manager's position at this time, the Cable Advisory Board revenue will not support a full-time salaried station manager position. The board's recent discussion regarding viewership trends and more focus on local content leads me to the conclusion that now is the time to make a change. Therefore, I will now make the following motion. I move that we do not re-enter into another contract with the station manager at this time because of lack of funds. I would also ask that we pay Aaron 6 weeks of his salary and that this would take effect immediately. I think it's important that we continue to videotape our respective public meetings while the board is rebranding, so I feel we should keep the camera operators on payroll so we can continue providing those to the public. This is hard. This is not something that, when I came on the board last month, that I thought I would be addressing. But after looking at the budget, there is no way that we can support it. So upon receiving a second, we will open the floor up for discussion. So. I need a second.
I'll make a second.
Now it's open for discussion. Yes, Wayne.
You have to come to the microphone.
Did the board look at, oh,
No,
okay.
come to the microphone that we can address. You might want to click the, press the touchpad on there, that way you can
Green?
activate the mic.
Okay. Did the board look at any potential of grants, fundraising, from any additional sources? Or are you basing everything just on what is rather than what might be?
We have, I mean, we're a non-for-profit. Right now, there's not very many grants out there. So we're kind of on a crunch here, you know, with the funding and with having to relocate. A lot of complaints about our equipment at the Hanover Town Council meetings. People complain all the time because when they watch the video, they can't hear us, which we're gonna purchase some microphones, but just the quality is not good, so we need to look at equipment, and like I say, it's 15 years old. I mean, this is not something that I've taken lightly. I mean,
Has the board looked at any potential donors?
yes, we have. I went to the commissioners and talked to them. At this time, all three entities is just gonna give the 12,000 and Hanover's gonna give 11,500.
What about corporations in the community, individuals?
We don't solicit for that. I mean,
I believe you
This-
can receive donations. I was just wondering if that has been looked at
It was addressed a couple of years ago and it wasn't accepted.
by the board.
Yes, some of the board had approached people in the community and corporations, and they weren't acceptable to
I
them.
apologize to interject. Could you use the microphone? That way they can hear you on video.
It doesn't work.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
it does.
yeah.
There you go.
It was addressed, the previous board had some members that did address some, corporations in the community, and it wasn't received well, so.
What was the response, do you know?
The response was no. That was,
Just flat out no. Okay?
thank you.
Should I say what I think I'm saying?
Yes, yes. State your name, please.
Judy Turpinning. I'm just confused about if you don't have a manager, how do you run it? I mean, who is going to make sure
It's
that things get done and that the,
this board is gonna become a working board. Lori Hedges there at the end, she works for Hanover College. She said she would help make sure that some of the product gets put on the. Lori's actually in the media department.
yes, I know Lori.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, my question is, what happens now with this ITBS? Is that not gonna happen now?
It would be on hold while we rebrand. I mean, we're hoping to get everything rebranded, you know, within, I'm hoping 6 months. 6 months. You know, I mean, I'm hoping that we can rebrand. I mean, this board's gonna have to double up the meetings and, you know, we're looking for people to sit on committees to help us. But hopefully we can get rebranded, get things put out. I mean, this has nothing to do with job performance. I mean, Erin's done an amazing job. It has nothing, it's all money, it's all financial, is what it is right now.
I know, and I'd hate to see this though, because like they said, this was in the works when I came on last summer, whenever I came on this board. So it's been in the works for so long, at no cost to us. I would hate to see it just not happen again. Is there any way to make it happen without TV? I mean, on I don't know.
No.
I mean, I think this.
In the MOU, we cannot actually have an online presence with that. They could actually link and have a link to the IPBS, a local IPBS station, but we cannot stream, we cannot actually have that transmitted. Like, for instance, we utilize Vimeo. We cannot feature IPBS content on that as per the MOU.
Okay. All right, well, that answers that.
But their links from what they do can be shared over to social media. If they have something on social media, it can be shared from their social media to our social media.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Is there anyone else? Okay, I've made a motion and I've got a second. Is there any more discussion? Yes.
Can I say something? And this would be as a member of, member of community. I'm actually going to add a little bit as in my position and everything as well too. I actually want to make sure that it is put on record that I did put in a request that I take a reduction in salary. That way we were actually still meeting demand. We still had a continuance and everything of content. We still had a continuance of services. I've actually conveyed that sacrifice to make that for the community. I believe in community media. I've dedicated 16 years of my life to this. This is what put me through college. I worked in this in high school. I managed to work in a little bit in the film industry along with it. I'm highly protective of it, and I feel that it should still continue to exist. There was intentions and everything all along here to improve content, to improve quality. We were looking at grant possibilities, and most of the grant windows do open up this summer. Take for instance, Community Foundation. Their grant cycle, competitive grant cycles are actually opening up this summer, which is supposed to be about June or so. So those are grants that do need to be sought after. There are a few federal grants that I was actually in the process of looking at myself. I did find out that there are certain PEG stations that did qualify for CARES Act funding. We did not go through the process of applying for the CARES Act funding because even at the time it was still unbeknownst of whether we would actually qualify for that funding. But that is a process that I've been looking into, and I know that most of the time I needed assistance from the board, and granted we've had a lot of issues and everything keeping membership on the board. And I'm still, it still makes me really happy that there's this amount of board members, we have this amount of board membership. I mean, my 16 years, I've never seen the board this full, and that makes me very happy. And I appreciate that you guys are serving. But personally, I do feel that it is, and I do feel it is it isn't in the best interest of the community to go this route. That we should still continue in operation and still continue that path to seek the extra funding. And I would be more than happy to still take some form of financial cut here to make sure we have continued coverage and everything in community media. And I would be willing to make that sacrifice. Now that doesn't diminish anything on a capacity of my self-worth or any worth or anything that I provide, because it would still continue to be the same aspect of what we need to provide. And I urge you to possibly reconsider here, but at the same time, we could focus on what needs to be done for the future of the channel and future of community media, and look at the expansion of community media, what we are providing to the community, in tandem with both what's coming from the IPDS, and at the same time creation of local content, and even if there's a new location, we're talking about a 1,000 square foot facility, that actually allows a source of revenue. Because what you're doing, and this is how the station actually originally operated even back in the mid-90s, they used it as a source of revenue for the station to create commercials for businesses. And they made 30-second, 1 minute spots, and they had a source of revenue. Even with the studio location, that allows, which of course we have to kind of change the guidelines. The board has to change the guidelines a little bit when it comes to that, because there are certain stipulations when it comes to corporations and creation of commercial content. And so right now our guidelines don't necessarily adhere to that with call to actions and such, but on the back end of commercial creation that is feasible within that type of facility. So you do have a revenue source even within a low-cost venture and everything with the Venture Out Business Center, which of course, with the cost of that Venture Out, that includes your utilities and everything else. The only thing that you're paying for up there is your internet and phone. And so even with that, that's a cost that we're not currently paying, because it's in the form of the in-kind contribution that we currently have from the city of Madison. Now, even at $9,000 of what it costs with the facility, it's been indicated, at least from the city of Madison, that their in-kind contribution has been at $10,000 a year. So I'll leave you with a little bit of that information, and this decision ultimately comes up to you, but I just wanted to let you know kind of how I feel about it. And overall, we still need to continue with community access media and providing this service to the public, both on the G channel and the public and education, and expansion of the public and educational side. That's been my main initiative over the last year or so, is trying every avenue I could to expand more on the public and educational side of our programming, and making sure that we're providing the best quality possible. And thank you.
Thank you. Does any council have any more discussion? Any questions? All right, I have a motion and I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have rebranding of the cable TV 15. One of the things that we talked about is getting input from the community. Has anybody thought about ways to
Well, there we go. My idea was to make it some kind of contest that people could come up with an idea for our new name, maybe a logo idea. I think we should form a committee to work on that and how to get that idea out to the community, and how we're going to go through the submissions and those kind of things too.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, maybe we don't want to just take ideas, maybe we should come up with ideas and let people vote on it, you know, like, kinda like the pigs.
Right. Give them a choice.
Yeah, give them a choice, like, which do you like the best? I don't know, that's why we need a committee to kind of decide how we're going to go about doing that. It needs to be something that can go between both Spectrum and MetroNet though. So probably not with the channel.
Not with the number,
Yeah.
no number.
So it would have to be some, we're facing the same situation at the college right now, although nothing is actually moving or changing it, but hopefully will in the next year. Having two different station numbers
And we do have
Is it just here? Can I ask up there? How does this work?
You can ask up there.
Oh, perfect. I was just wondering, for those of you that are, sorry, can you hear me okay? For those of you that are here and interested, how have you communicated to this board or to this organization what you do want to see? Or how have you been asked before, or have you ever been asked? Does that make sense? Like what type of content you want to see? Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But
It's never been asked.
Okay, well, we're asking you, what kind of content, I mean, can we do that?
Yeah.
Do you guys have suggestions or things maybe that you think have gone really well, but I feel like I'm like juggling between.
It's hard to respond.
Sorry, I'm new, I don't know if
Okay.
this is appropriate.
I think it's hard to respond because I don't know what's available.
Okay,
And I
so
don't
that would be
know
helpful to know.
what, if you go back to what Channel 15 is, I really don't know what its purpose is primarily.
Okay.
And I think it's hard, at least from my perspective, to come up with some sort of a solution or
Yeah.
feedback when I really don't know what the goal of the channel is or where you want to take it.
Good.
So it's,
You don't know what you don't know, right?
right.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
So
fair.
if there was some education, I think you'd probably get a better response.
Yeah.
That's what I was just getting ready to say, that committee could also
Thank you.
educate as to what Channel 15 can do, what it can do for the community and what we can provide. I think that ought to be step number one, because it doesn't make any sense to go any further if people haven't got a clue what we're doing.
Well, and
What we are.
yeah, and it sounds like the hope, right, with rebranding is that we're offering the community things that they wanna see and things that would be valuable.
Mhm.
And so, talking to you all about what that could look like and then giving some options, whether we provide them or we ask, just, for a brainstorming session. Okay, thank you.
So it strikes me that probably the first step for a rebranding committee would be to create a means of
Education.
presenting to the community what we can do, what our limits are, and what we can do within the scope of what the cable channels allow and what the social media allows, and then get feedback from the community based on that information so that we can then define a path moving forward.
So we can do an educational marketing.
Well, can I ask the community another question, or those that are here? So, to get that type of information, what way do you like to get that information? Is it you come to a board meeting and you listen to us? Is it a roundtable type of discussion? Like, what does that look like? How do you want to learn that information? Does that make sense?
I have been a fundraising consultant for 40 plus years. I've done numerous studies. I've done focus groups. I've facilitated groups. And I think you need some sort of a standard case about what this organization is what the possibilities are, and then in some sort of a personal one-on-one situation with a group, ask for feedback. But if you don't give them something to respond to, then your response is going to be not as valid or not as focused. And I think that's what you need. I think you need a dialogue with the people as you're talking to them or presenting to them. You need their feedback, not in the form necessarily of check the box.
Right.
You need a personal, well, I think this, or I think this, and you need to be able to interpret those responses in terms of, emotion, body responses, not just a check the box thing.
Right. Okay, thank you. That's really helpful. Thank you.
Well, I think we also want to where it's just not cable either. I mean,
Yeah, social media.
so many people don't have the cable anymore, so we want the product to be able to stream on different platforms. So how do we want to form a committee? I mean,
I'd like to be on that committee.
yeah, we want to.
But I don't wanna be the committee,
I think-
so
well,
I
I
need
think-
some other people.
I think you and Emily, what about you?
She's answering for me. She's like, yeah, she'll be on it.
Yeah.
I'll have the mask covered up.
Yeah,
I don't.
and Debbie. So how about, you want 3 members, 4 members?
I'm not sure.
Stephanie, would you like to be on that committee?
Are you gonna take people from the community?
Yes.
Sure.
Wayne, would you like to be on that committee?
I would.
They love you, Wayne.
Awesome.
If he's on it, I'm on it then.
Okay.
Okay.
Emily, Lori, Wayne, and Peter.
Yes,
That's it?
and Debbie. You got Debbie? That's Debbie.
Yeah, that's it.
Lori, Emily, Debbie, Wayne, and Peter.
Well, so, okay. Okay, I just wanna make sure that it's efficient, right? And so if
Yes.
it's like a focus group and then we dive into like the nitty gritty,
Yes.
I think, okay.
Yes, that's it. Okay.
What's Mike's last name? Kyle?
So there's 5 of us.
Yeah.
And then I will let you guys schedule when you guys are gonna meet and stuff. All right, we'll move on to the IPBS MOU, so we're gonna kind of table that right now. And Lori, maybe you can reach out to them,
If somebody gives me
the
contact.
information, okay? Do you have a question? Do you have a question?
Did you have a question? No.
Okay.
Or a comment?
Okay.
Just take a deep breath.
All right, any other old business? We'll move on to new business. We want to establish a program and equipment committee. I know, Lori, you said you've got some information on some equipment.
I do, I need somebody to make copies of it, but this is the estimate that, yes. That's the estimate for the equipment that we use at the college, and then there's another estimate for like a slightly, I don't wanna say better, but bigger system.
Okay.
And then I don't know what the third one is, but it's the same company that the college went through to get our, TV station upgraded. Because we had a really old version of Laytronics and it just didn't work very well anymore, and especially with going to high def and everything, we needed something better, and this is what we got, and so this is the estimate,
Okay.
which I can't tell you what it is now because he took my papers, but
And just as a commentary, the quality broadcast that the college puts out is excellent.
Thank you.
So,
We try.
can't comment on price or any comparisons equipment-wise, but in terms of the results, I think the results speak well of what you brought to us.
I will say that it's really easy to use. Most of the, like the slideshow, I mean, there's a learning curve, but it wasn't too bad. I'm still learning things every week as I work with it, but it's dependable, which our old system was not. It was always going down. I would turn on the TV and it would be black, you know, at 9 o'clock at night. And it was very hard, but now, even when we've had power outages and stuff, it comes back. If it goes out for a second, it comes back up. Everything works great.
So, I mean, this is something that we're looking at after we rebrand.
We rebrand, and this would probably have to be something that we look at, this grant funding that you were talking about, looking for grant funding. We will have to look for grant funding to replace it, but what we have now is gonna quit working. It's just,
Well, if you don't have a director, doesn't matter, really, you know.
well, that's not true, because,
understand.
as a board, we could always program. This is a pretty easy system to program.
Good, good.
So it could be, programmed by any one of us, but, thank you.
Is the money for the equipment in the existing budget?
No, this is all part of trying to
Yeah, there was no
rebrand
equipment
and
up
try
there.
to raise, to get us up to where we need to be, because right now we don't have the money to do anything.
Do you have a price or cost?
Yes. For the exact system that we have at the college, it's $8,895. If you want the little bigger drive, it's $10,495.
So is that your total cost?
I believe so.
And then within a year, it's gonna be a little more than this because prices go up all the time. So we can look at this as a basis and then we can expect a slight price increase over the year.
Right, well, maybe, I don't know, they were pretty good
Right.
about, I mean, we got the system at the college, we've had it for probably 6 or 7 months now,
Right.
and this is the same price we
Same
paid.
price, so we might get lucky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, so
but I mean, at least we have a ballpark to shoot for if we're looking for grant funding for this. Even if we decided to go with something completely different, at least we have something to shoot for because we have some numbers.
Lori, what's $145? It's on the front page with the box. Do you have the first page?
I think it's,
It's the splitter.
Yeah.
yeah, which you would need,
Mhm.
so add that on to
She
one
was
of
just
the.
asking what $45 was for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a tech person.
Computer works.
I'm not either.
So,
I mean, I just said, my thoughts would be, I think these are really good estimates, just so, like you said, we know the ballpark. But I think we really need to spend a lot of our focus on what we're supposed to be, because whether we write grants or not, we need to have a good identification of what that is.
Right.
And how we're gonna showcase how we're gonna utilize those grant funds, so, I think it's a good way to start, but I think we gotta spend a lot of time on the
Yes.
front of what we are.
That would be first, and then this is
Yeah.
later, this is
Yeah.
last.
Yeah.
That's
So
the
I'm just
last
saying, I don't
piece.
know if we need a committee for it right now, or we
Okay.
spend the majority of our committee time and like our working board time figuring out what our.
I agree with that, yeah.
Okay.
This can wait.
But thank you for the estimates. These are
So
really
then we'll
helpful.
table that.
Okay.
Okay, that brings us to our camera operators. We have 2 camera operators. So there's still gonna be, meetings that are gonna need to be recorded, and then product needs to be put on the,
It can be put on, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, those kind of things, and then you all are gonna put it on as you have time, right, on the,
On our
College
channel?
Station?
We
If
can-
and when you have time.
Well, I always have time,
I know,
so.
But yeah, yeah, so it'll still be
I
on
mean, this
cable.
board is gonna be a working board, so we are
Yes.
going to help. When the camera guys bring in the stuff, then that will be put on
Mhm.
like it's always been.
I will just need, if you want me to run like a meeting, I will just need, we'll need to figure out how I'm gonna get that file.
Okay,
What the
Where they
process
drop it
is
off
gonna
at.
be,
where they drop it off at,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah.
Well, currently, the city of Madison, which of course they've upgraded the units and everything here too, with their system, which of course we're streaming live right now on the EpiFen encoder system that they have. And so simultaneously, when it's streaming, it's actually recording on the dual card based system that they use, so they're SD cards. So you can
Okay.
actually pull your media and everything from that too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Maybe the biggest challenge here with regards to the camera operators is scheduling the camera operators. So that's something we'll have to figure out, is how we schedule them to make sure that we cover the meetings that need to be covered.
Right. And I'll get a list of the public meetings that we're gonna record, and then I will get with the camera guys, and we'll work out a schedule. Okay. Getting surveys out to the public,
That would be up here in this committee.
so that's, the committee's gonna work on that, right?
Yeah, that would be part of that committee.
So what kind of time frame are we wanting to look at for the committee to get together and,
We're looking at a couple of months just to get that put together.
okay. So when is your guys' gonna be?
So are you wanting to know when you need an answer as to the
No, I mean,
questions,
I'm
or
just saying, this committee needs to probably meet pretty quick,
Right.
and you're saying it's gonna take about a couple of months. I just wanna be able to answer the people out here when they ask, you know.
I think we need to have the meeting first and decide how we want to address it, and then our plan put in place, and then say, okay, this is what we're doing, this is week 1, this is week 2,
Okay.
this is where we're gonna be on week 4.
So at the next meeting, you'll have,
I think we can have a plan together by the next meeting, can't we?
I think so.
I think so too.
okay, great.
You can't give a plan yet unless
Right.
we know what we're.
Right. All right, is there anything else that we need to discuss tonight?
Do we wanna set a meeting right now,
I would.
while everybody's here?
What's your schedule again?
This
Um,
first Thursday.
And I guess I don't understand right, if we're working board, why we're not all be part of that committee, right? Like,
So do you want the whole board to be part of that committee?
No.
No, she doesn't.
Do you
It'll
want the
take
whole board
forever
to
to
be?
get anything done if we have the whole board.
Okay.
So, when are you available?
I don't think that's something we could discuss right now.
And be mindful of all your committee assignments and everything as well too, because you do have a deadline to vacate premises here by April 14th.
Lori was just wondering if you have a date that was, Lori, you want us to just email you 3 dates that work for each one of us? And then we'll pick a date from those 3, what's gonna be,
Sure.
okay.
I have a question. Is this, the purpose of the survey is for what? That you're talking about?
There's more than one survey happening here, Wayne.
Okay.
This is to see how we want to approach the surveys and what we wanna do with the community, you know, what's the plan, what's our plan, what are we gonna do on week 1, week 2?
So
So
you're
this
pretty much
committee
talking
will
about
be
a needs
together.
assessment?
We're gonna sit down and decide what that plan is.
Okay, is this for the rebranding?
Yes, this is the whole thing, so this whole group is not gonna be in this next meeting. It's gonna
Right.
be the committee, which you're on.
Right.
So we're gonna sit down and decide where we're going from here and how we're gonna get there. So we've gotta have a plan, so this is the meeting's gonna be for making a plan,
I understand that.
yes. So, So we just need 3 dates set to board.
So can't we just, like, huddle up here for a minute and just decide when we're gonna have a meeting instead of
I see.
sending me dates and?
Okay, yeah,
After the meeting, yeah, you can do that.
okay, we can do that after
It just seems to me like
Easier.
that would take less
Okay, you got it, you're good,
effort.
that's fine.
Okay. All right, is there anything else under new business? Our next meeting is gonna be, what's that, Thursday?
I may mention one thing, since you do have your deadline of April 14th, may need to be mindful of how we're going to be expecting the transition to the new facility and so on and so forth, and organizing that and communication between the cable companies. That way you actually do make your transition to the new facility. And also the subcommittee, there is a subcommittee that was formed during the last meeting on making the official decision to bring to the full board in regards to a facility, and that committee has not met yet.
Okay,
We're just looking at the date when we.
yeah,
next meeting.
I'm gonna take care of all that. What?
The next date for the next meeting is gonna be what? April
April the 8th?
the 8th?
And also, how are we looking to conduct the, at least the packing transition and so on and so forth? Will I be coordinating that along with board, or how is this taking place?
No, I'll take care of it. You and I'll have a conversation after the meeting.
Wouldn't it be April 1st? I thought we were meeting the first
First.
Thursday.
First Thursday in April
Yeah,
is the 8th.
No.
no,
Oh,
it's the first.
it's the first.
The 1st, oh, okay.
It is the first.
It is the 1st, yes, thank you for taking that.
It's the whole.
The 7th was highlighted, and I kept looking at the 7, and I was going to, no,
I'll touch that one. There, I'll touch this one.
Okay, that helped me. Now I can see the one. Sorry.
My bad. Alright, so April 1st.
6:30 again? Yes, does that work better for you?
I do, I have a shoot.
So April the 8th at 6:30.
Oh, so.
April 1st, I'm sorry, gosh.
Get me there. I'm like, wow.
April the 1st at 6:30.
Okay.
Anything else?
First.
I'll entertain a motion for
Yeah.
adjournment.
So moved.
How appropriate.
Harmon Group.